Hello and welcome back to RaceRoom, and it's my first chance to take a look at the new weekly ranked schedule that was released earlier today, and I'm always happy when I see the Silhouette series make an appearance. It's one of my favourite cars and it always guarantees good close racing, and no doubt we're going to get some of that at Hockenheim tonight. We've put it 8th on the grid with a qualifying time of 1:31.2, just 200ths behind our fellow SCB driver Jason Spooner in 7th, but we've got a stacked grid on the Hockenheim National Circuit tonight. We did have 30 drivers in qualifying, one has just dropped out, but there's still 29 taking to the grid, so it's going to be absolute bedlam on this short circuit. And as we wait for the lights to go green, keep your eye on the driver directly in front of me, Jose Diaz, because he's going to get an absolute shocker of a start. Luckily, we've got the room to swing around him. And already there's shenanigans in front. Look, that's Alex Brown and Rashid Robinson getting tangled up not once but twice on the approach to turn 1. Well, we've got the inside line, so we've got no choice but to keep it tight. I didn't want to run anyone off wide who was on the outside of me, but we've managed to get through safely. Now we've got to tackle T2, and I always worry about drivers leaving it a bit late to brake coming into this corner, particularly in the first lap. We had 2 cars having a sniff up the inside there, and it looked like it ended badly because there was mayhem in the rear view mirror. Luckily, we've managed to get away with it, and now we're side by side with Diaz charging down the Parabolica. Diaz on the inside, but he moves over onto the racing line, absolutely clouts me. We did well to hold it there. Yeah, that felt like an overly aggressive move from Diaz, trying to force me off the track to give himself the better line into that sharp right-hander. We'll have to take a look at the replay shortly when the action from this first lap dies down, but for now we're okay. We're sitting in 8th place. Centelas in 7th, just taking a little bit too much of the curb there, but it didn't seem to unsettle him too much. But we've just got to stay on his tail as we approach the stadium section for the first time. It's good to see Jason Spooner in 9th. He managed to avoid all that carnage on lap 1-2 to get through safely. So we've got Jason in hot pursuit as we round these final couple of turns to complete lap 1. Looks like we're a little bit quicker than Centelas going through the stadium section there, because we've closed the gap right onto his rear bumper now. There's not going to be any room to pass into T1, but if we can get a good exit, we might just have the pace to pull alongside him and get that inside line into T2, but no, I don't think we're close enough. And actually we've ended up losing a bit of time because I was a bit too hesitant on the brakes there. I wasn't sure where Centelas was braking, so I was a bit overcautious, and we've lost a few tenths, so now we've got a bit of breathing room. Let's go back and check out a replay of lap 1. Yeah, we got away really well from 8th on the grid when the lights went green, and thankfully there was enough room free in the middle of the track for us to sweep around Diaz, because he had an absolute nightmare of a start. Turn 1 at Hockenheim is always scary, but it looks like we all get through unscathed. Let's check the background. Was there any carnage? A couple of cars running wide, but it looks like the whole field got through in one piece. Incredible. The same can't be said for turn 2 though. This is where it all kicked off, and there's a massive pile up right behind me. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved, and that's how close we were to getting taken out. Let's look from the chopper cam and keep your eye on the orange car at the back of the shot. It's his late braking that's going to cause this. There we go, look, just leaves it too late, ploughs into the car in front, and then leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. Fortunately, we were just 1 or 2 car lengths far enough ahead to avoid that. So let's switch to the Parabolica when I was side by side with Diaz. I said at the time it felt like an overly aggressive move. And there it is, look, the sudden switch to the racing line, almost going straight through me. Oh, and look at the orange car, completely out of control and within millimetres of taking me out. Man, I didn't even see that at the time. This was the car that caused all the mayhem in T2, and he's completely out of control here. And oh, that's how close he came to taking me out. We'll get a better view of it from the chopper cam, and first keep your eye on Diaz. Let's see how aggressive that switch to the racing line was. It was very aggressive. And then in the background there's the orange car, completely out of control, and he comes within inches of collecting the rear of my car. Oh, and the yellows are out. Who have we lost? There's a cloud of smoke, and that's Alex Brown, who was in 3rd place, I think. So that crash has promoted us to 7th as we approach the stadium section. And we might get another place here because Centelas has run a little bit wide. He's clipped the gravel. I just wasn't quite close enough to take advantage. I thought better of diving up the inside. But we're right back on his tail now. Yeah, let's check out the replay and see what happened to Brown. And he was actually holding a fairly solid third position here, but watch the rear. It just starts to step out, and once it does, there's no saving it. It spins him into the wall, and it's a big, big hit. Oh, Centelas might have run it in just a little bit hot there. We did gain on him. However, his later apex certainly gave him the exit speed. He's managed to get those couple of tenths back. We're not in a bad position though. We've still got Jason Spooner behind us. He's 1.3 seconds back now, so there's a little bit of breathing room. So my focus is on what's going on in front, and actually we're only 3 seconds off a podium place here. So as long as we can stick with these guys, who knows what might happen. We could yet get a third place finish. I'm still not convinced that Diaz is going to last the pace because he looks very ragged. Once again there, he's drifted wide, and that's going to give Centelas the chance to have a sniff. Is he going to dive up the inside into the penultimate turn? He is. He's not quite got it done, but he's got the inside line for the last turn. Can he get it done now? They're going to be side by side as they charge down the start-finish straight. Diaz might just have the pace, but Centelas is going to try and stick it up the inside into turn 1. Any pass attempt into that corner is brave, and it looks like Diaz gave it the space he needed. Now we're alongside Diaz, and there's more contact. We've swapped a lot of paint with Diaz in this race already. We've got the inside line into turn 2. We just can't quite get it done. Diaz holds on to it, but he's under pressure from me now. That's going to rattle him. And we've got a much better exit out of that section, so we're going to pull alongside Diaz again. Surely we've got the pace on him now. We're on the inside. Remember what happened on lap 1. I'm not going to do the same. I've chosen the inside line, and I'm going to stick to it. Diaz breaks even later again, but that sent him wide, and that's what we needed. We've got the pass done, and we're up to 6th place. We're actually really untidy through that section there. The last thing we want to do now is let Diaz have the opportunity to get back in front. We've got this 6th place, so we need to hold on to it. And in battling with Diaz, we have lost valuable ground on Centelas in front. That gap to him now is 1.5 seconds. Just a lap ago I was saying that we're only 3 seconds off a podium position. Well, that's a bit bigger now. It's up to 4 seconds to Rashid Robinson in 3rd, but it's not impossible if we can just stick with these guys. But we do need to tidy up. This lap has been a messy one, and as we approach the final turn, it's going to get even messier. We're going to run a bit wide, clip the gravel, try to get on the gas too early. That sends the rear out. We're all over the place, and I have to ease off the throttle just to get the car stable again. That brings Jason Spooner into play. He thinks about having a look up the inside into T1, but he does back out, and somehow we managed to keep hold of our 6th position. It was a pretty action-packed couple of laps though, so let's go back and look at some of the action again. We'll start with the replay of the battle between Centelas and Diaz. It was Centelas who stuck it up the inside into T1 bravely. That gave me the chance to pull alongside Diaz. I go for the inside line. I thought I had enough to get it done there, but Diaz is late on the brakes and he swings it around the outside, holds onto the position, but then I had another chance to tuck it up the inside into this right-hander. Diaz runs it out a bit too wide this time. And we missed it in the live action, but shortly after that, we actually lost Diaz altogether. There he is behind me, but then inexplicably, he just runs straight into the concrete wall. Now, I've looked at the replay a couple of times, and I can't really see what caused it. He does run wide here, but the curb doesn't seem to unsettle the car too much, and he just heads straight into the barrier. And that incident explains why it was Jason Spooner who was the one to pounce when I ran wide out of the final turn. Jason's got the clear speed advantage here, and he switches to the inside heading to T1, but he does just back out of it. I gave him as much space as I could, taking that wide line. But the momentum that Jason lost on the exit from T1 has just given me that little bit of breathing room again, and as you can see, it's meant that Jason has now got his hands full with Garwick, the driver behind. Back with the live action now, and we've just passed the halfway point of the race, and as you can see, that gap to Centelas in front is growing now. It's more than 3 seconds, so I'm struggling to keep with this pack in front. Behind me, Garwig is more than 2 seconds back in 7th, and he's got Jason Spooner for company, so hopefully Jason can make a move and get that 7th place back. Meanwhile, the yellow flags come out and it looks like we might get a gift. We do! We're up to 5th place because Rishi Taperia, who was the 4th place driver, has binned it. And it was a classic mistake. You're pushing as hard as you can to try and keep with the car in front. You brake just a little bit too late, miss the apex and end up in the gravel. And it gets even worse for Taperia here. He tries to rejoin quickly and then ends up in the wall again. That's his race ruined. So over the next 5 minutes I had a clear track both in front and behind me, and that enabled me to get some pretty consistent lap times in. And as you can see, we're rejoining the live action with 1.5 minutes to go, and that 3.5 second gap to Centelas in front is now down to 1.5 seconds. We're really pushing here, so have we got what it takes to get that 4th place in the last lap or two? It's this upcoming section, turns 2, 3 and 4, where I'm really confident that I can close the gap even further. It's where I've been making up most of my time on Centelas, and yeah, once again, we get in a lot tighter to him. We're under a second now. That's the first time the gap's been under a second. 0.7 as we charge down the Parabolica. There's only 30 seconds left on the clock, so I'm not sure if we're going to get another lap in. I don't think we will. So if we're going to get it done, we need to get it done this lap, and we need to push Centelas as hard as we can. Hopefully there's a mistake in there somewhere. He's looking pretty smooth through this section, and in fact he's a little bit faster because he opened the gap up to 1 second briefly, but he went wide on exit. So has he got a slow down penalty for that? We're going to have to push as hard as we can. This might be our last chance. It will be our last chance. The checkered flag is out, so we're in the stadium section for the last time. Is there anything we can do to get 4th place? I don't think there is, to be honest. We're just not quite close enough. We're going to have to rely on Centelas running a little bit wide in one of these final 2 turns. He's got through that first one okay. Is he going to drift wide on the exit of the final turn? No, he's not, so we're not close enough to get alongside. We're going to have to settle for 5th place. But I've got no complaints about that at all. It was a really enjoyable race, and in such a big field, 29 drivers to get a top 5. I'm more than happy with that as we see the race winner donutting in celebration, and who can blame him? So let's check out the full classified results, and there we are in 5th place, just 4/10 behind Centelas in 4th, and then a couple of seconds back from Robinson in 3rd. And just looking at my fastest lap time there at 1:31.2, it does look like I would have had the pace to battle for a podium had I managed to get up there in the early going. My lap was faster than Robinson in 3rd and Centelas in 4th. And looking right behind me, it's great to see Jason Spooner managed to get up to 6th place in the end. My fellow SCB driver, so a great result for the SCB boys. 5th and 6th in a stacked field at Hockenheim. Well, that's it from the Silhouette series for now, and if you enjoyed watching the video, please do leave a like or consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done already, and I will be back later in the week with another race. Cheers for now, guys. Bye.